Today, I have a couple of very interesting concepts that I've been thinking about recently. Admittedly, also I'm taking them from the Modern Wisdom podcast, so I'm crediting them. These guys come up with a lot of great stuff. So very often, I some ideas that I talk about on this show is coming from what they talk about on their show. But I'm trying to give my own perspective. I'm gonna give my own take on it. Of course, when I have some more time, I'll try and come up with other ideas myself. But as of right now, I admittedly I'm kind of like taking some ideas and some concepts that they talked about and using them, giving my own perspectives on them, and just talking myself on my show about these concepts, these ideas. So yeah, forgive me for constantly, always very consistently taking stuff from them and using ideas that they talk about on this show. Forgive me for that. Obviously, we're gonna keep on grinding, we're gonna keep on moving, but I think this is good stuff. I think these two ideas that I have, which I'm gonna talk about kind of half and half in this episode, it's very interesting stuff. It relates to me personally on my journey in my life so far, and I hope that it can give you guys a great analysis and great insight as well for you to do better in your life. And that's kind of the goal of me making these episodes, to help you in some way. So let's get right into it. I make a podcast episode every single day for 365 days. You will be hated for speaking the truth.
You definitely have like an x-ray goggles on where you can see someone's aura.
A house divided against itself shall not stand. Matthew chapter 12, verse 25.
If you want to make something of yourself, forget your political beliefs.
Because different believers experience God in different ways, different non-believers need different explanations to see God as real. Things that make you angry suck you in.
Satan's plan fails, right? And God's plan prevails.
So the first idea is the idea that you have to learn to forget things. This is an idea that's kind of really targeted to those chronic overthinkers, those people that are prone to the constant like insecure overachiever type of mindset. I'm very much in that boat because I think too much, right? And sometimes my own mind, my own thoughts paralyze me with fears, and that is something that I'm very guilty of, that has kind of hindered me and ruined me at times, and it's led me just down the wrong path, of course. Like, it's not the path to success, it's not the path to life, it's the path to evil, it's the path to I guess, to failure, right? And I know this, but yet somehow I'm still unable to kind of control my mind. I can't control what things come into my mind. So I'm always overthinking things. I'm always like making decisions based off of just me thinking and reflecting. Reflection's good, but sometimes you just take it too far. Like, I find that when I make a mistake, when I do something wrong, I'm constantly replaying that thing in my head, or I have a situation in my head, I'm replaying it in my head, what I could have done right, what would have happened if the situation went well, if someone had said something differently or done something differently in the moment, whether it be on the soccer field or whether it be just in interactions and conversations with people. I think way too much. And it's like, this idea for a person like me, if you're kind of have a similar type of thing where like you just keep reliving situations in your head, sometimes situations that never happened, but also situations based off of things that did happen in your life, then like that's stuff that's not going to help you. And our brains are kind of crazy in that way, but like, yeah, like that, like reliving those things is like a way for the brain to cope. But the reality is, whatever happened, and whatever is going to happen is going to happen, and you have to just keep on moving forward, right? Like, you're not dead, you're still alive, you can keep going, right? Like, you fail a test, you fail an exam, you fail something, you fail a course, you have to retake it, or you do something, it doesn't work out, you have an awkward conversation, you talk to a girl and she rejects you. It's like, you're still alive, you're still here, it's still fine. You have to kind of just learn to forget it, not let it take over your mind. Be like, forget it and move on. To be successful in athletics, that's my domain primarily, right? Because I'm a soccer player. I tried to make it pro in football, went to Europe. That's my whole story. Of course, if you're new here, you should watch some of the older episodes that I talked about my story more in depth. But the point is, in sports and in soccer specifically, you have to forget things. Every play is an opportunity for you to do well or to do bad. If you make a bad play, you make a bad pass, and you let that affect the rest of your game, obviously you're going to play a worse game, right? You're not going to play as well. You're not going to be as confident. You're going to be more fearful. You're not going to take as many risks. And that's not going to be good for you or for your team. And in many other sports, it's the same thing. You make one mistake, you have to just let it go, right? You have to let it go and move on to the next thing. Because if you let that mistake sit in your head, you're just gonna play worse. You're gonna have a worse game. You're gonna have a worse season, and then all of a sudden, like you wake up and you're on the bench because you've been playing so bad. You make mistakes leading to goals, leading to big chances, and a lot of problems kind of come about from it. You're not going to be successful in any sport, in any athletic domain, if you can't learn to forget things. You have to take the lessons from the situation. Say you make a mistake and it was recorded, so you can watch the video of your mistake. You look at it, you be like, okay, what did I do wrong here? Yes, okay, this was I made a bad pass, or it was a bad decision. I dribbled when I should have passed, or whatever the thing is. You look at it, you're like, okay, here's how I can do better in the future, and then you put it away, you forget about it. Because the more you ruminate on it, the more you think about it, the more you're going to just make those mistakes again, right? This is the thing I've been saying through my experience. It's like the more you're thinking about making the mistake, the more chance you're giving yourself to actually go and make that very same mistake. And I've said this many times on the show, and I've said this many times in my life. It's like I've seen it in myself, in how I'm thinking, okay, just don't do this, right? Don't give away the ball, right? Don't pass it there, right? And then in the game, I'm thinking about these things, and I make that exact mistake, it leads to a goal, right? And I'm there with my egg on my face. I feel embarrassed. I feel even worse about myself. That's what I've learned about the field, about being in sports. Like, for example, baseball is like that, but to an extreme, because baseball is probably one of the longest games, I imagine, in terms of sports. Like some of the longest games, like some baseball games go over 3 hours. Most of them go over 3 hours long. Some go even to 4 hours. And of course, there was that famous World Series game with the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, which I unfortunately watched the whole of. It was like 6.5 hours or something like that. That was kind of an anomaly, but still, long game, right? You make one mistake, right? You have an at bat and you don't hit the ball. You strike out. It's okay, because in a couple of innings, you're going to get back out there. Or actually, even in the next inning, you're going to have to go out and you're going to have to defend. Right? You make a bad mistake in the field, you play 162 games. You have so many games to make amends for it. And people will forget about the mistakes in the end if all goes well, obviously. If things go bad, people will kind of remember the mistakes. But like in the end, people will forget about those mistakes, right? Even the mistakes that the Blue Jays made last season that stopped them from winning the World Series, basically. It's like a lot of it was bad luck, but a lot of it was kind of like mistakes and pitchers coming in, making bad pitches, and leading to kind of the Dodgers coming back in that Game 7, right? And even those mistakes, people will forget about those mistakes if they go and they win it again this year. They actually go and come back and fight and win it. As of right now, it's not looking so likely, but it's a long season again. Baseball's the most extreme like that, where it's very much like, you gotta forget about it. You forget about the thing that happened, you move on. If you're not able to forget about the thing that happened, you're just gonna keep on falling and failing and doing worse and doing worse and doing worse. There are certain players like that basically they made one mistake and then they just kind of fell off a cliff and they had to get sent back down to the minor leagues because the team didn't trust them and they didn't trust him anymore because he kept just ruminating on the mistakes he was making, thinking, you can tell, like, by the way he's stepping up to bat, the way he's stepping onto the mound when he's pitching, that he's like, okay, just don't do anything crazy, don't make a mistake, right? You can tell that they're not confident, and then they make the very same mistake that they're fearful of, right? So in sports and really anywhere in life, right? Sports is the best example of it. You have to learn to forget. You have to learn to be a goldfish. There's a thing from Ted Lasso, which is funny, kind of corny show, but like it's a really true lesson. Whatever happens, just be a goldfish. Just literally forget about it. Let it come, let it go, move on to the next play. Move on to the next thing. In sports, it's the next play, right? It's like you're in soccer, you're going to get the ball again, right? If you didn't make the play the first time, you're going to get it again. You want to go and try again to make that play the second time, right? Whatever it may look like, whatever position you may be on the field. In any other sport, same thing applies. You failed to make the shot, you failed to make the pass, the play, whatever. You go back again, you're going to get the ball again. You're going to get the puck again or whatever sport you're playing, right? Hockey reference. Like you're going to get an opportunity to shine again, to make the right move again. If you're so stuck in your head because of the last play, you're so focused on the last play, the thing you did wrong, you're not going to do better on this play, on the next play, right? You have to be able to just forget and move on, and then be able to move on to the next play without being so hard on yourself, without thinking too much about what you could have done better. And maybe you can think about it more when you're done the game, but even still, like, I've had it happen in myself where I've made mistakes. I've been like mad at myself, and I couldn't fall asleep because I'm constantly reliving the plays in my head, reliving what I could have done better. But it's like, okay, now I'm just cutting into important time to sleep because I'm just sitting there unable to move on from the situation. Like, I made a bunch of mistakes in my last season in Portugal. I made quite a few mistakes leading directly to goals, probably more than I ever did in my whole life, really, because I play center back. I made more mistakes leading directly to goals, but it was through those mistakes I learned, okay, here's what I'm doing wrong. It's a mental thing. It's not a physical thing. I'm a good player. I'm confident in that. It is a mental thing. And then once I kind of got over myself, I had like one of the best ends to the season that I had, one of the best like 7 game stretches, not to do the brain rot, but 6 or 7 game stretches where I just played super well in all those games. And we didn't win them all, but individually I can look at myself, look at my performance and be like, I killed it. And it was some of the best stuff I played. It took learning from the mistakes that I made, some of the worst mistakes that I made, to then come back and have such a super good and positive end to the season and to my time in Portugal, because it was my last season there. And I can look back at that and be like, yeah, that was a good growth moment for me. But what I learned from that is it's pretty simple. You gotta be a goldfish. The second you start to be so stuck in your own mind is the time you're going to make that mistake, and it's the time that you're never going to make it. Basically, you're never going to make it in athletics, and a lot of just normal situations in life will be the same thing, right? You have a conversation with someone, maybe things get heated, you have an argument, you say something you might regret, and then you just kind of ruminate and you live within that. You kind of hate yourself. You're there with some shame and some guilt and whatever. It's only going to make it worse. The way you should make amends is to make amends, right? Be the man, talk, right? Talk, make amends, apologize for whatever thing you might have said, and then move on from it, right? When you're holding grudges for people, it's not even a sporting setting anymore, right? You're not forgetting about things. You're constantly remembering and ruminating on things. You're holding grudges for others. You're shameful in yourself. You kind of make the mistakes, and then you make the same mistakes over again. Then it's not going to end up well, right? I think, like, I don't have to be so specific and so like introspective to just tell you that it's not going to end well. It's going to lead to a lot of problems. Whether it's a relationship, whether it is athletics as I'm talking about, whether it is business or working relationships, or whether it is family relationships, or if it is just like the work you're doing or whatever it may be, right? You make a mistake, that's okay. You can move forward. You're still alive. You're still well. Things are going forward, and you'll be okay. You can bounce back from it. I kind of have to do better in this mindset. This idea of just forget about it and move on, right? You like remember it for a second so that you can recognize the mistake you learned so you can learn from it, but then the second you know what mistake you made, you move on from it. You just forget about it. You move on to the next thing. Because being stuck in the past is like one of the worst things you can do, because it's going to keep you kind of stuck in the present. You're using your present time ruminating on things of the past, whereas you need to actually be present and move forward right now rather than being stuck in the past. So learning to forget things, learning to forget the mistakes, being a goldfish, letting these things pass through your mind, it will help you live a better life. It'll help you actually be more content and happy in your days, because you're not going to be so focused on the bad things you did. You're going to be focused on the good things you can do rather than the bad things that you did. The mistakes you made, you're focused on making amends for those mistakes and improving from those mistakes. That's what you can be focused on. That's a very good thing to look towards. So this idea that you should just learn to forget, you shouldn't be thinking so much, you shouldn't be so inside of your head, you definitely shouldn't be feeling so much shame or so much guilt for something, for what you're dealing with in your life. I think that is ultimately true. And you have to recognize that if you're able to just forget about it, you will do better. You will do better, because you make a bad play. Again, you relate it to sports because sports is like the thing that makes sense to me, and it's the analogy that does just make the most sense, right? You make a bad play, make a bad pass. If you're stuck in your head, you're going to do the same thing again. But if you realize, okay, you just move on, go to the next play, right? Just forget about it, move on, right? Have a mantra, or have something you tell yourself. Forget about it, move on, And then you go, you make the next play, you try your best on the next play, and you're fully there on the next play to try and make a good play. And maybe that play doesn't go well. Maybe 2 or 3 or 4 go wrong in a row. And then that's where you spiral out of control if you're not careful, if you think too much about it and you're so stuck in your own head. Then you have to be like, okay, calm down, take a breather, take a deep breath, and maybe it'll take making an easier play or two to get yourself back into the flow. But you need to understand that, like, if you're so stuck in your head, you're not going to kind of overcome those fears and overcome those challenges if you're stuck in your head, if you're constantly feeding that fire with your own thoughts and with your own rumination on things. So learn to forget. Learn to forget. Learn to not be so hard on yourself. Learn to not feel so much shame for your mistakes. Learn that the mistakes are okay, that the failures and the setbacks are fine. It's all part of the plan. It's all part of God's plan for your life. Things happen for a reason. Everything truly does happen for a reason. If you kind of go into everything with that mindset, you can be able to just forget about it, move on, and focus on the next thing coming up. I think that is a very good concept. I think it's a very good idea. It's definitely something that I have to work on, and I think it's something that a lot of us has to work on, because a lot of us are just perennial overthinkers. We think way too much, and it causes a lot of problems for us. And of course, like, I talk about these things because that's exactly the type of person that I am, and this is a type of thing that I really have to focus on and hone in on a little bit more, because I struggle, right? Of course, I struggle, right? I fail very often to just control my mind, control my thoughts, and it's not to say that you're always going to control your thoughts, but the more you can have these things in your mind, these ideas in your mind, you can perhaps be able to quench them at times, and then be able to perform when it matters most. So that's the idea. Learn to forget things, basically. Learn to be forgetful. Learn to be a goldfish and just let things pass. Mistakes that you made, let them pass through and move on to the next thing. And I think that will make your days better. They'll give you a better chance of actually making it big in whatever thing you're trying to make it in, because you're not going to be so focused on the mistakes. You're focused on just striving for excellence and extraordinary and doing better. And I think that's a good thing. It's a positive mindset to be in. So that's the first idea. That is the first idea that I have today. Very interesting, very good concept, very just like relatable thing. I hope. I mean, at least to me, it makes a lot of sense to me. That's why I'm kind of sharing the idea, sharing my perspective with you. The second idea has to do with, again, Modern Wisdom podcast. It has to do with the crisis of meaning that we're going through as a society. It seems as though, like, a lot of statistics are pointing in the direction of a lot of people are losing that meaning, right? They're looking and searching for meaning, and a lot of people are lonely, a lot of people are depressed, a lot of people are anxious, probably more than ever. I'd say almost certainly more than ever, more than ever in society. We live in a world where that is the case. Many people have comparisonitis. They compare themselves to others. It makes them depressed. Social media, of course, is a factor in this stuff. But whatever the thing may be, people are not satisfied with their work. They're not satisfied with their relationship. They're not happy with anything that they're dealing with in their life right now. They're searching for meaning. They're searching for purpose. And a lot of people do not have their purpose. They don't have an identity. And they kind of fall into feelings of depression and anxiety, and the alcohol in extreme situations, the alcohol and the drugs, and trying to escape from their kind of boring and sad lives. So many people are kind of in this exact situation today. And the whole crisis of meaning thing, which it's interesting that it was a Modern Wisdom thing, because the guy that was talking about it, I believe his name is Tim Ferriss. I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure that's the guy's name when he was on the show Modern Wisdom. He mentioned religion, which is, like, interesting because it's a show that doesn't really talk a lot about the religious perspective. Obviously, this show is a show that talks a lot about the religious perspective, so that is what I'm going to be focusing on primarily for this topic. But it's very interesting that he mentions it as, like, the reason why so many people, perhaps, right? The reason why so many people don't have that meaning is because a lot of people have moved away from those ideas of religion, and strength in God is something that can truly give you a lot of meaning. Like, the fact that it was kind of touched upon, it was kind of like circled over a little bit, because again, that type of show, the show's not really like the show that's like usually has that type of talk. But obviously for this show, this show has a lot of that type of talk, so of course I'll talk about it. It's like, I truly believe that that's the problem. I think a lot of people don't have faith. A lot of people have moved away, whether it is like a blame of God, a hatred of God. I guess, like, they look at the Catholic system or the the Christian system or history and they hate it. They're like, "Oh, this is what it is and I don't want to be a part of this group," right? Or they just genuinely believe that there is no God and whatever the evidence points to there is no God, that might be what something is. A lot of people have no faith and they don't have faith in something greater than themselves. So I think the reason why so many people are lacking meaning in this world is because they're trying to find meaning in things that are never going to give you meaning, because they are just materialistic things, they're temporary things, they're things of this world that will come and go. And whether it be a career, whether it be gains in the gym or whatever, whether it be a relationship, whether it be whatever it may be that you're looking for to find meaning, right? Also kind of talked about in the show is that a lot of people find meaning from their jobs, from their work, from their careers. A lot of people don't have careers that they like. A lot of people don't work jobs that they enjoy. And of course that I think contributes. But I think when I think we live in a world where yes, God wants us to enjoy these things. There's a very amazing verse in Ecclesiastes that I read where basically Solomon says that it is good for us to enjoy these gifts in this life because it is our portion. It is our portion of this world that God has blessed us with. And I think that is true. I believe that to be 100% true. But that can't be everything. Is my point. Is that you make it the thing, right? You make the work, the career the thing, the relationship the thing. These things can be beautiful, these things can be amazing, but they're not going to give you meaning on their own. And I truly believe that the more people have moved away from the faith, the more people have been drawn into other things, or the more people just don't really care about faith or religion or spirituality or their connection with God at all in any way, the less meaning there is in the world. And I think it is a direct correlation. I think a lot of people are moving back towards faith and towards God, towards Jesus Christ, and I think it's a beautiful thing. We praise the Lord every day for that fact. But it's still tough, right? Because again, you have the things in this world, but when you're only focused on those because you're not focused on anything else, because of course you have more and more people have these values and these beliefs that are completely contrary to traditional Christian beliefs, let's say, and they're focused a lot on themselves. That's pretty much what it means, right? When you're an atheist, is that it's like there's no God, so like you're your God, right? That's what that means, right? When you're that level of atheist, obviously there's a lot of agnostic, a lot of people just kind of in the middle, not really sure. But I think when you think that it's only yourself, then you want the meaning to be in those things that relate directly to you, right? I think that makes sense, right? When you believe that it's only you here and there's nothing affecting you, there's no being affecting you, there's no creator, you have to find meaning from your work, from the things that affect you in your life. And I think just by nature, it can't happen. It can't happen on its own. Maybe some people get away with it because I guess many different people have different dispositions and different philosophies and whatever it may be, right? Different ways they look at life and all that kind of thing. Like there are people who don't believe in God, but they actually are very like they have gratitude and they experience those godly feelings despite not having a belief in the creator because I guess that's what they've been taught, or they've seen stuff online or whatever it may be. There's this whole like meditation thing, and it's like, yeah, you don't have like faith or religion, but like you're in a moment of peace because of deep breathing. You're kind of in a spiritual state. But a lot of people that do meditation don't really do it to connect with God. Some people do it to connect with God, and good for them, right? So these are kind of strategies and ways that people do these things because they're trying to find peace. They're trying to regulate the storms in their mind, kind of relating to the whole overthinking thing. Maybe I should start meditating low key. But like they kind of need to calm their minds down, and they want to find that moment of peace, right? They want to find that like deeper hidden meaning, even those that don't believe in God. So I think really like the solution to the meaning crisis, again, my opinion, but I think it's backed by my faith and what I've learned throughout my life, my own experiences with my faith and my growth in my Christian faith. My opinion is like the reason why so many people lack meaning is because we've taken God out of society. We've taken God out of the lives of so many people. And as a result, we're focused on trivial things, on materialistic things, of things of this world. And these things just by nature will never fully satisfy us. You can enjoy these things, but you have to always have it be backed by God and backed by faith. I think I think it doesn't even have to be like a Christian faith. I would obviously prefer, I believe that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through him. I truly believe that. But I think I think like a Muslim faith or a Jewish faith or some other type of faith in just believing in God, believing in something greater than yourself for the sake of finding meaning in this life will give it to you. Just having something greater than yourself, knowing that there is something affecting you that you can't control, that you can't conceive, and that God loves you so much, and despite your failures, despite your shortcomings, he still pours his love into you. That is something that can give you great drive and great power and great strength to move forward. And it will give you great meaning and great peace every day, always being in remembrance of that fact, so that you know, okay, I'm going through these things in my life. I'm looking for some joy in these things in my life. But even if I don't find it, even if it doesn't go according to my plan, I know that there is a God out there that truly does love me and care for me. And that is the greatest joy out there. And people find so much meaning and so much peace and joy from just that fact alone, remembering that God is out there and that there is a God and a creator. He's created you and made you in his image because he loves you so much. And he just wants you to worship him because, of course, his instructions are to keep you safe from temptations and sins, and he wants you to live a great life. So if you put like the materialistic things and everything else above your relationship with God, by nature it won't really satisfy you ever. But if you're able to have a good balance where it's like you're able to enjoy the life that you've been blessed with, but also remember that it's always backed by God, and remember just how much he loves you, just how much Jesus loves you, it's like that gives you a level of power and a level of just internal strength that you can't really describe. You can't really conceive it. You can't really compare it at times. But in a world where people are looking for meaning, I think that is the one crucial important thing that's missing from a lot of people's lives. They're trying to find meaning from things that you can't really find meaning from. And I think the biggest thing to find meaning from is by serving your creator, the one who's made all of us, recognizing that there is one out there first and foremost, and serving others, serving other people. That's why pretty much every single religious tradition, it's like it's backed by serving the poor, helping those that are vulnerable and less fortunate than you. Because just it helps, like it helps you feel fulfilled. It helps you find the meaning because you're meant and you're created to serve a bigger purpose than just yourself. And that's the fundamental Christian teaching, but it is also fundamental teaching of many other religions. So I'd say like a faith is better than like no faith, regardless of like what religion you're in, right? I wouldn't even think twice. Like I would rather talk to my Muslim brothers. Like I have many great friends who are Muslim. Like I'd rather talk to them and see how great their faith is than talk to like a guy who's like a hardcore like anti-God atheist type of person. Those are the types of people I don't want to have anything to deal with because because I think like faith makes you different in a way. It makes you like it gives you some level of energy, some level of confidence, the confidence God brings into you that like is kind of it's kind you're unable to have that level of confidence otherwise, really. And I think it applies to many different faiths. And I think having a faith in something greater than yourself for the sake of finding meaning like it does at that point. It doesn't matter what religion you're focused on, what thing speaks to you the most, right? I believe it's Jesus Christ, but I would definitely prefer anything over nothing. And I think that is why there's a lack of meaning, because a lot of people just defaulted to the nothing, to the there is no God type of thing. And that is something that fundamentally just cannot work, because we've been made to serve. And if you live a life where you don't serve, you live a life where you only care about yourself basically, then it is of course not going to give you any meaning or any purpose at all. And I think that is why there's this crisis out there. So in modern wisdom, they talked a little bit about it. It was really only like touched upon, like like it wasn't really fully dissected and broken down in that way, because they don't share these same type of beliefs that I hold. But I think that truly is the case. And I think that's what Tim Ferriss, if that's his name, that's what he was trying to move, like kind of move the needle towards. The other guys didn't really like pick up on it, but he was trying to move it towards that conversation. That's like a lot of people really do find meaning from religion, because like as you know as contentious as it can be sometimes, as many problems as it caused in the past and even to this day at times, the extremism of religion is very unfortunate. but just a belief in God and a belief in something, a higher power greater than yourself. He talked about, and of course I'm reiterating the point that it gives you like a breath of life and a meaning that is nothing like anything you can ever find in this world. Because of course you're also preparing for the life to come as well, right? Like that's also kind of on the back of your mind when you're living this life, right? But but God is faithful, and God really truly does want you to just love him and serve his people and serve the other creations that he created and be in harmony with everyone. That's really what God wants. And of course, we fall short. We're imperfect, but knowing that God loves you no matter what is something truly greater than anything ever imaginable or conceivable at all. And I think if you're looking for meaning, if you're kind of in your life, you're trying to find that peace, you're trying to find that meaning, and you're struggling to find a purpose or fulfillment or an identity or whatever, pray to God on it. Give it to God. Develop a faith, because that will help you in so many ways that I can't even really describe. Because, like, trust me, some of the tough things I've been going through these last few months, it probably would have been exponentially worse had I not had any faith at all. But through prayer, through constantly asking God for strength and for peace and for help and guidance through these times, I was able to get through the difficult times that I've gone through. Obviously, there will be more in the future, of course, but I feel like the faith helped me continue to move forward in a better direction rather than continue to be kind of, I guess, like just continue to be even more depressed and lean into the bad feelings even more. Remembering how much God truly loves me helped me through my tough times. So I'm sharing just how it can help you through tough times, help you find meaning and peace in your days as well. So those were my two ideas. Those were the two things that were talked about, and I've kind of broken it down a bit of a different way. So I hope I kind of talked about these concepts in a unique way. I gave it my own personal lens, my own personal thoughts on it, the whole forgetting things and the whole how to find meaning, right? And they're important things, right? Because I think the whole meaning thing is like a societal thing. Like it's like a global thing, right? The forgetting things is a more like kind of smaller, let's say like individual concept, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's all individual. It's all for you watching this video. You're gonna take these messages and these advices and these things as you will, of course. But I really do hope that at the end of it all, you develop faith, because I think faith over anything else will help you eventually overcome whatever you're dealing with in your life, and giving it to God, regardless of what problem you're dealing with. Give it to God and just watch how things kind of slowly, it'll be, you have to learn patience, right? It's not going to happen overnight, but how things will slowly move in a better direction for you. Truly. I truly do believe that. So learn to forget things, learn to not be so focused on the negatives and the mistakes, and learn to forget and move on and move forward in a better way, and develop faith. And faith in a higher power is something that will give you meaning more than anything in this world. I think those are the two main teachings and main points and main lessons of the thoughts and the things that I've been talking about in this episode. So I hope I did a good job breaking it down. I hope I did a good job kind of talking about the things that I wanted to talk about today. It's definitely a different perspective than what was actually talked about on modern wisdom, so I hope it was differentiated enough that I'm not just like copying and stealing and taking an idea. But yes, when I have some more time, I'll try and think up of interesting new concepts on my own, right? Based on my own principles and my own ideas. I've come up with a few good ones that I've talked about on this show already. But of course, what makes it interesting is me kind of proving that I do have like a level of thinking to myself, basically. But okay, I'm gonna be done. I'm done on that. Let's just not even like get into that part. But yes, those are the lessons I'm talking about. I hope you truly do find some faith. I hope you do truly learn to forget things and move forward. It'll be good for you. It's for your own benefits, for your own help, for your own improvement. These things can be made so. So I hope you learned something, and I hope that I broke it down in a good way. I appreciate you for being here. Thank you for watching this episode of the 365 podcast. If you haven't yet, like the video, subscribe to the show on YouTube, and follow it on Spotify. I appreciate any way you can show your support for the show. I really do appreciate it any way possible. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And yeah, if you're still here, watch some of the other great episodes I've made on this show. I just recently finished a series talking about the 7 deadly sins, which was also, I think I put a lot of effort into, and I think it was a very well made set of episodes. So you can go watch that. Watch some of the other great ones that I've made on this show. I really do hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoy those episodes, and I hope you enjoyed this one. So I'll wrap it up now. Thank you for watching this episode. I hope you learned the lessons that I talked about today. Continue to glorify God every day throughout your life. And as always, I'll see you tomorrow for the next episode.